Peace to all those within the sound of this broadcast. It's your brother INFMEGA building and adding on with you. And on this day, I would like to share some knowledge and wisdom with you. My knowledge and wisdom has taken me to ciphers all over the country. Recently, I was contacted by the guard Kaliv out of Power Hill, Philadelphia. Up until this point, I never met the guard physically. The guard must have done the knowledge to a law school in Mecca page and appreciated the work that I have produced. So he decided that I would be fit to document his old Earth's history. Some of you may know his parents and their extensive history. His old dad was a guard named Islam, also known as the Cremator, in part because he was the one who pushed the cremation button when Allah's physical remains were cremated in 1969. His old Earth's name is Wisdom Understanding, who got knowledge back in the early guard cipher years. When the guard Kaliv contacted me, he told me his old Earth was put on hospice due to her physical condition and didn't know how long she had to live. He entrusted me to document her history before she returned to her essence. I was honored that the guard saw what I do fit to capture Wisdom Understanding's history. He informed me that she was also eager to share her history. Considering how extensive her history is, I knew how important it was to document it before she returned home. The guard Kaliv and his old Earth rested in Power Hill, Philadelphia. And at the time, I was wrapped up in dealing with family and domestic sciences, so I couldn't just get out to them immediately. So I figured I would do a phone interview with her. She agreed. We went over some history over the phone. Peace, Wisdom Understanding. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there all night. And yourself?
I'm good. My name is Allah Infinite. I've heard a lot about you.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about you, and I know you got a lot of history. And is there anything that you would like to build on?
Well, just my life in this way of life ever since I came into the knowledge and God's understanding. January the 18th. January the 18th. And I have been here ever since.
Okay, so can you tell me like what was it like, in the early years?
Well, in the early years, was much different than it is now. In the early years, when we didn't have rallies on Parliament Day, there was always a rally going on in somebody's apartment where the guards would be in the living room building, and the Earth, it would be in the kitchen, cooking and acknowledging the young. Back in those days. And other than that, it was just more people coming, more interest, it seems to me. Not so much distance and the secrecy of stuff. Don't let nobody know this, don't let nobody know that. To my mind, if you're right and exact, there's no reason that you have to hide anything.
And although she shared much over the phone, I knew it was very important to meet her in person. So I decided to take a trip to Power Hill, a place I've only passed through once, and I wasn't really familiar with its history. So I figured it was a perfect time to get educated in that history. Philadelphia is a city in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Philly, or Power Hill as it is known in the 5% nation, is only 142.7 square miles in total, with land covering 134.28 square miles and water covering 8.42 square miles. Taking the Greyhound from now Y City, it's a 2-hour trip. The guard Kaliv picked me up from the bus terminal, and on the way to build with his old Earth, he went through some of his own history.
Growing up in a nation, God, that was it wasn't so much growing up in a nation that was heavy weight to carry. It was who my parents are. You know what I mean? So my father, Islam, you know what I mean? He's if not the first, one of the first, but I'm gonna go step out on the limb here, guys, and say he's the first Latino guard to get knowledge. You know what I mean? And we got the knowledge. He was 12 years old, and I remember the story my grandmother told me is that the day he got knowledge, he came home and said, Mom, I met God and I am God. So then my granddaughter, she put the phone call out. She said, my father's honorable name is Harry. She said, have you see Harry? Harry done went crazy. He done said he met God and he is God. You know what I mean? And before it was all said and done, God, they don't call him nothing but can do. Even my granddaughter call him nothing but can do. You know what I mean? But my father's history, like I said, his history is so extensive that when the father returned, he was the one who pushed the button to cremate the father. You know what I mean? So he's known in our nation as the cremator of the nation. You know what I mean? So that's just my father's history, and then my mother, wisdom, understanding. Her history in the nation is long and extensive as well. And, so growing up, having, both of them in the same house and having, because usually, in our nation, when you're born in the nation, it's usually, your father, it's only one in the nation. It's usually the father's in the nation and the mother or the old earth is something else. You know what I mean? So when you're doing something else, not being a witness to our teachers or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's kind of easy for you to kind of, get away from shit, but I couldn't get away from it, God. So every morning I had to come downstairs and write the mathematics on the board, on the chalkboard.
So you had a chalkboard in the house?
We had a chalkboard in the house. We got to write it out, God. We had to write every morning, erase it, write it, you know what I mean? And if the degree was too long, if you're dealing with the wisdom build degree in the 140, how you gonna write that on the chalkboard? But certain degrees, it was okay. You didn't have to write that because it was too long. But at the same time, as a young guy, when you start dealing with lessons in the Greek, I was able to know, when I say knowledge 120, I was able to memorize it, God, when I was about knowledge culture, knowledge power. You know what I mean? But to be able to understand it at that age, it's high science, God. You know what I mean? When you're talking 13, 14 years old, you're not really getting the full understanding. Even though, even when you teach and you can only give a person knowledge and wisdom, you can't give them understanding, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it was a struggle for me. So I didn't really start coming into my own and really starting to understand 120 God until I got my, my mid-wisdom degrees, you know what I mean? But I was teaching. It didn't stop me from teaching, God. I was teaching the whole school, my whole high school, you know what I mean? But
so what would you say that you you said that I'm gonna choose it for you, I'm gonna choose it for myself.
That's the thing, right? So what made me choose it for me, God, because I didn't really have an appreciation for it because I didn't get it the way it was traditionally given. I didn't have to do not only that, God, but I didn't have to go through what everybody else had to go through. You got to, it all back then, God, traditionally you got it one at a time. You got supreme mathematics, supreme alphabet, then you would move on to the student enrollment, or I know certain brothers got it differently, but this is how my father gave it to me, and it was one thing at a time. You just didn't get a whole 120 and was able to study. And then you can find it online now. It's crazy now. You know what I mean? So to get it, then not only that, but then if you misquoted a degree, you know what I mean, he was getting bombed. You know what I mean? You was getting flags. Now this is what I seen with my own physical eyes, God. You know what I mean? This is how it was. They didn't play. So with me, it was it was at my disposal. God, it was the book of life was laying around the house, and I didn't really have the pressure or I didn't have to go through let's say the normal route to get what it was that I got. You know what I mean? Or the way that everybody else got it. So
you didn't really appreciate it.
Not only did I not appreciate it, God, it was kind of like whatever, God. Because you gotta keep in mind, God, we young, you 9, 10 years old. It's it's like anybody who grows up in any type of culture / religion at a young age, you really, it's almost like you're forced to go. You're only going because your parents are making you go. You know what I mean?
Right.
And once it got to the point where, okay, I said, well, they no longer got to make me go. I'm going to, choose this for me, because once I learned who God was and I accepted that I was God, and I said, okay, well, I got to be able to show and prove that. And be able to show and prove that and be able to teach that, I got to know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? So I dove into it, God, and I started asking questions. I started picking my father's brain, and I started picking my mother's brain, and I started asking questions. I'm like, now I got to, you can't, because there's nothing more than dealing with somebody or building with somebody who don't know, who don't know what they're talking about. You know what I mean? So I started asking questions, and I started getting into, with this man and with that man. You know what I mean? And, how do I, the breakdown of the flag. It was just so many small meticulous things, but it was tedious. It was a tedious process, God.
You never had like a mystery God.
I never had that
in your life. Like or that teaching in your life.
Never had that teaching in my life. Never had that experience. Like some guys would tell me, when they was in the dead world before they got knowledge, they'll say, like one of my brothers, he said, God, he said pork ribs tastes way better than beef ribs, and I'm like, God, but I never had that. I never know that. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? But he experienced that because he was in the dead world. So like most brothers, when they get knowledge, they have already experienced certain life. They already have certain life experiences that I don't have, God, and I never will. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I was born into it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it doesn't mean that I didn't necessarily, wonder what it was. You know what I mean? So, but I don't got. It's one of those things where I tell people.
You wondered about the mystery God? Or,
no. I didn't wonder. I didn't wonder about that. I'm talking about the food aspect though. But I always tell people that if they, some people will tell you that the best teacher is experience, and I'm like, no, that's not the best teacher. That is a teacher, but the best teacher is learning from somebody else's mistakes. You know what I mean? So if God told me, he said he had pork ribs before and they taste better. Okay, cool. So if I want to know about it, I just go build with the God. I don't gotta do that. You know what I mean? Like I know that that's that goes against our dietary law. You know what I mean? So I didn't wonder about it, but I had to learn about that as well, because if I was going to teach them, you know what I mean, I got to be able to show them how what they doing is not right and exact. You know what I mean? Like what makes you what's the quality degree, and I think the 1 to 14, what keeps out, why does the devil keep our people illiterate? You know what I mean? Right. So to utilize them as a tool, you know what I'm saying, God? So it's a slave, you know what I mean? So what I gotta do is, in order, sometimes you gotta go use their own shit against them in order for them to say to themselves, damn, point certain things out to them, and it's like, but so I didn't really get into, the Bibles. I know some guys they know the Bible, they know I don't know the Bible, but I know certain things in the Bible to be able to point out to them, to be able to kind of show them that there's no such thing as the mystery God. You know what I mean? Like to be able to and this little small stuff. You know what I mean? But for the most part, God, it was it was a journey, and it was a journey, God. It was a journey, and I loved it, and it was something that I would say was it was bittersweet. It was bittersweet because it was tough, God. My father was tough. He did not play with these lessons. He didn't care who it was, and even though I was just we were children, I was just a child. He wasn't as tough on me as he was, or as he could be, or as I saw him do or be with other people. But at the same time, he wasn't easy on me as well. You know what I mean? And I loved it and I appreciated that, because just that nepotism, you know what I mean? It's she took apart this one. That nepotism comes into play when you start dealing with your own children. You know what I mean? Like, you don't treat your own. What I've seen is a lot of brothers don't treat their children the way they treat their students. You know what I mean? Like they're able to get away and do a lot of things that they wouldn't accept from anyone else. You know what I mean? But even outside of my father, the other thing is I had a lot of elders around that I can go, because sometimes my father, it'd be hard. It's almost like, I don't know if you ever experienced, having your old dad trying to teach you how to play a sport or a game, you know what I mean? And he's extra hard on you, and it's like, come on, you know what I mean? He's like, give me a break, cut me some slack, So sometimes, like, I had to do that, and I had to go to some of the other elder guys, I would go to Shasha, I would go to Knowledge Divine, Sometimes I would go to Dumar. It all depends on what it was that I was looking, striving to get and striving to be, you know what I mean? So, but to have that at my disposal, that was a blessing. That was a blessing in disguise, guys. So, okay. But it's the old earth house here, so we going.
Okay.
We reached this old earth dress, and immediately she recognized me.
Peace, sir.
Oh, I know your face.
You know my face? I've been around for a long time. Peace.
Okay. She patiently awaited our arrival as she was eager to share her history.
How you feeling today?
I'm good.
And I was honored to build with her and capture it.
Could be better. You sit over here.
I've seen Wisdom Understanding around before, yet this was the first time building with her in person. I've heard a lot about Wisdom Understanding over the years, seeing her at nation events from time to time. There are a few videos of her on the internet where she showed a terrific display of wisdom, manifesting the teaching in ways that only a black woman with the proper knowledge of herself can do.
It's not right and exact. Ain't nothing else gonna be right and exact. You can't take you're born if the knowledge is not right and exact. If the knowledge is shaky and weak, the sight is shaky and weak. And we have got too many shaky, weak people among us.
She was such a lady. She wanted to make sure she had all her jewelry when getting on camera. She reminded me of my old earth with her bracelets.
You're naked without my jewelry. I'm always with jewelry of some sort. I gotta put
beautiful bracelets. My mother used to wear bracelets like that.
Yeah, I love my bracelets. Absolutely.
Building with her in person for the first time, she lived up to all that I've heard about her, with a vibrant energy and a sharp mind. Although she was bedridden at the time, she had a youthfulness about her that was warm, swift, and current.
Get my rubies on. Red is my favorite gemstone. No, it's my favorite color. Diamonds are my favorite gemstone. My name is Wisdom, Understanding, Earth.
Okay, I heard a lot about you, and you got a lot of history in the nation. You say you came into the knowledge
Yes, I have.
in 1973.
January the 18th, 1973 was when I first read the mathematics, and my head expanded. It felt like it was just like getting like this. But after that, it was like, and from that day to this, I've been here. Never left. Plenty of trials and tribulations make you think you might want to leave, but it wasn't about the nation, it was just personal. You know, we all go through personal trials and tribulations, so, you know, but never left. Never even entertained the idea of leaving this. This answered all my questions that I had.
Wow. So what was your life like before that?
Well, I was raised, you know, and those days and times everybody went to church, you know, so we were sent to church. My aunt didn't go to church. She sent us to church, but she didn't go. So she wasn't really no Christian, but they had to put up the front. And I went to, but after the age of 16, I recognized that that was bullshit, pardon my language, that was bull. And I just was never involved in church. And then when I heard I didn't even know about the 5%. What happened was, I was sharing an apartment with another woman. And this brother had came to the house one day, helping her home from a supermarket that she had known basically all her life. But he had just came home from Sing Sing. And he was telling her about the 5% and the black man being God. So when I met him, I was immediately attracted to the physical, you know, because he was black, darker than you, but he wasn't shiny. You know what I mean? He wasn't greasy, you know, and his name was Kamel. I have no idea where he's at this point in time, but that was January the 18th, 1973, when we were sitting at the kitchen table, me, her, and the sister, his sister, and they started talking about, you know, mathematics and saying words I didn't understand. I said, wait a minute, and then she was talking about moving out because I was a savage, you know, uncivilized, and I was eating swine. Like she got that yesterday, but today I'm a savage. Yesterday she was a savage, but today it's just me because I don't have no knowledge. So
she was calling you a savage?
Huh?
She was calling you a savage?
She was calling me a savage. My roommate. A day after she got the knowledge, I was a savage, and she was righteous. Okay, wait a minute. We had to sit down and talk because you know I can't pay this rent by myself. And you talking about moving out. We have to talk about this. And so basically her sister-in-law said to me, have you ever heard that the black man is God? I said, no. She said, well, here's some literature. And she gave me some literature on the pig and the alphabet and the mathematics. She gave me. And I said, okay. So I went in my room. And when I read the mathematics, it felt physically like my head was expanding like that. It was an actual physical feeling. So when her God came in the house, because in 2 weeks, my roommate had her man, her God, and the two of them in her room. We were all living together. But when I came home from work one day, because I'm still working, they talking about I'm a savage. And yesterday.
Right, just yesterday.
Right, you know? So when we started talking at the table, and then she gave me the mathematics and the alphabet, I went in my room, and I'm reading them. And when her man came in, he told me, you don't give no lessons out like that. So he came in the room and asked me for the lessons back. So I gave it back to him. But God, I had already capped it.
You already capped it?
I already capped it. I got me some pencil and paper and wrote it right back down. When I told people that, they say, for real, honestly, I ain't got to lie.
Right.
And from that day, then we started having, back in New York at the time, they didn't have a rally, a general rally, but every Sunday, somebody in the neighborhood had a rally at their house. I was coming home on the Jerome Avenue line subway, and as the train came out of the tunnel to the L part, there was a building, and on the underline of the side of the building, right like where the roof is here, but on that underside right there, it said, the black man is God and living in Manhattan. And I said to myself, where the hell is he? Okay? That's the first, just that sign was there. And then the brother came to the house like 2 weeks later. I came in the knowledge of self on the 18th day of January. They had the rally, I know it was the understanding knowledge day, but I don't recall exactly what time we went there. I knew they were having it at Harriet Tubman then. And at that time, God, all of the seats in the auditorium were filled with women and children. And the guards was like 3 or 4 deep to the wall, okay? I didn't know that women didn't speak at the rally, or they had never. And to this day, I remember so clearly when I stood up to go speak, the guards were like, it was a one motion, but it looked like all the guards that was standing up was like, they made a motion like, we got to see who the hell is this standing up? It is Earth. And I just introduced myself, that I was newborn, and that I just wanted everybody to know this is what I have been looking for all my life. My brain has been washed clean, and I'm here, and I will be here forever. And I have been here forever, regardless of what trials and tribulations, and I had a few that I went through. I never left this, because it answered all the. And then when I read the math, when my head expanded, the brother had told the woman, you don't give nobody no lessons like that. And he came and took them back, right? Soon as he walked out the room, I got a piece of paper and wrote him right back down. That's just how fast I capped that. I dealt with a Shabar God from Medina. That was the first God I dealt with. And he's returned now. Then after him was this young God. I don't know what I was thinking, but I'm trying to deal with your mind and not with your physical degree. Because I had one God tell me that I was only dealing with him before his divine eye, because I was the older woman. I said, that's in your head. That's not in my head. He's a black man. He got knowledge of stuff. I don't care how old he is. Y'all don't want to add me on, so what's the problem? But that's the first thing he said to me. And we built for a minute because he got physical with me. And the brothers the sister that I was living with, her man and the other, his buddy, his traveling buddy, and a couple of other guys stepped to him and told him about, knowing me. He said, if you ever hit on her again, all of us will whip your ass. And so I never had that. That's why, as I was in knowledge longer, and I seen that happening more with women, that brothers weren't stepping up and coming to her aid. I stepped up. I'll tell you right away. I tell them, if you're hitting on a woman in front of me, you're gonna have two to hit on, because I can't deal with that. And that was something that I thought all the gods were doing, but they weren't.
They're not doing it.
No, and I was very vocal about that. I was raised where the men dealt with physical abuse, and I'm not gonna say that all the time. It was on them, because when a woman is getting drunk and calling you out your name and throwing shit in your face, enough is enough.
Right.
Okay? So, okay, next question.
I always say about the 70s of a time of community. Like you said, like the rallies were so packed.
Yes.
Can you build about that time period?
Oh my goodness, when I came into if you didn't get there by 2 o'clock, you had a problem getting a seat, okay? And the chairs, or the area where people sat, all of them, all 3 of those areas had women and children. The cafeteria was there, but the cafeteria was there after the bill. You know, there would be a bill before people went to the cafeteria to eat, because at some point, you know, the earths had to leave because they had to feed the children. But then afterwards, they go back inside and they build some more. Of course, the earths, you know, they did the social equality. You know, and at that time, we had the backyard at Harriet Tubman, so the children could go out there on the slides and stuff like that. And it was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. We don't have rallies like that anymore.
I mean, why do you think that nowadays is kind of dwindled down? What
Because I really can't say exactly why, but I feel as though people are not living out the mathematics like they used to, and so that's the reason why. And they're not consistent. You know, you can't say one thing out your mouth and then do something else. You can't do that, and you can't especially do that with children, because somewhere down the line they're gonna tell you about it. But I heard somebody say so and so and so, and then you have to explain. Well, people have different understanding. People see things differently. It's very difficult to say that everybody sees everything. Something could happen right in the 3 of us, and we're gonna all see something different, or we're gonna all see something similar, but exactly not expressing it the same way. You know what I mean?
So you said a lot of their children, they would have to explain certain things to their children, or misunderstandings or misinterpretations, because they weren't living out mathematics according to them.
Well, as you were growing up, most of the people that you dealt with were 5%ers.
Right.
So you started being exposed to that other way of life when you start going to school. You know, then it became a different thing. I had to explain different things, that we don't eat this, you don't eat that, you know. So, and I remember somebody was sneaking one time. I don't know if it was you or Kendu, the pork rinds.
Wasn't me.
They were sneaking the pork, you know, eating the pork rind. But basically, no, I didn't have a problem with that, because what I used to do when you all were growing up, before you even started school, if we were traveling, I made my own sandwiches. I made a snack bag, raisins, nuts, sunflower seeds, things of that nature for you to eat. I bring a bottle of tea. You know, I made my tea, and for you to drink, and water. So basically, every now and then you all would cry, "Mom, can I have a bag of chips, please?" And "Oh, Mom," and I'd break down and let you get a bag of potato chips.
So that was the part I was telling you earlier, God, when I started asking questions. When we first went to school, we didn't say the Pledge of Allegiance. You know what I mean? When it was time to do the Pledge of Allegiance, I sat still, I sat down. You know what I mean? And I got to the point where Old Earth had to come to the school and talk to them.
And kind of regulate
them. And it was
You don't have to do that. That's not part of what we are about. I understand we in this country, but that's not how we live, and that's not a man-made law that the children in school got to do that. So my children didn't do that.
Tell them how you made us write today's mathematics on
Back in the day, they don't do that too much anymore. I haven't been to anybody. Well, now that I'm older, and I'm living over here. They don't have really young baby like over here. But I never saw that in Philadelphia. But in now why? And here, when I came here, they started doing it. We had to write the day's mathematics every morning on the blackboard. And if it was a degree that was short enough, question and answer short enough, that we could put it all on the board, pardon me, then we would do that. But if it wasn't, then we just put the day's math, and that was it.
That was it.
But that was every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Every morning.
Boy, you remember all of that?
Did I forget it?
Your history.
Our history, you know.
You got that right.
Our history, you know, so.
Can you add on, like you say you practice nursing? You went to nursing school?
Yes, I went to practical nursing school, and I practiced nursing. I really got away from nursing when I came into knowledge and stuff because I wanted children, and I got on back in the day when we first got knowledge, a lot of the earths, including myself. Well, they owe us 40 acres and a mule, because that's what they were supposed to give the slaves when they freed them. They said they was going to give them 40 acres and a mule, and they never gave me no 40 acres. So we decided we're going to get 40 acres from the welfare. So almost everybody was on welfare. And then at the time, the earths were very protective of the gods. We shouldn't have been, because, and the reason why we shouldn't have been, I say, is because it made them lazy. Because we were getting assistance from the state. A lot of brothers didn't add on to the household. Matter of fact, a lot of the brothers didn't have jobs. They might have been hustling, selling some understanding or some equality, but few gods had regular 9 to 5. You know what I mean? So that was the attitude. So most of the earths was on welfare, and we don't know baby daddy name. We don't know where baby daddy lived. And when I went back with my second son to get him on welfare, the black sister looked at me. She just sat back in the chair. She said, "Now this your second baby with this man, and you sitting here telling me you don't know his address. You don't know what he do for a living. And you've been with him how long now? 4 years, and you don't know nothing." She said, "Come on, sis." I said, because we were very protective. They didn't want to work. And the attitude was, we going to get our 40 acres and a mule from the welfare. I'm not saying that was a positive thing, because it wasn't. It made a lot of brothers lazy and did not contribute to the maintenance of home and or children. So if I had to do it over again, I'd give up the information.
Give up the information?
Yeah.
Wow.
What his name is, what his real name is.
What do you think that would do? How that would change? I mean, that would get them in trouble.
Well, no, either it's going to get you in trouble, or it's going to make you be responsible for the seed that you planted. You planted the seed, but you don't want to take care of the seed, and there was a lot of them. A lot of earths was under the same understanding that we had. Well, we're going to get our 40 acres and a mule from the welfare department, and Dad was supposedly teaching, but the gods was hanging out. They was partying. The first generation of gods, they was partying and making babies, but they weren't taking care of babies. They weren't being responsible for food, clothing, and shelter. That was on us.
Do you think the sisters kind of like resented that, like later on, like kind of
the earths?
The earth, yes.
I don't know if they resented it. I can't say I resented it. It was the way the understanding was going at the time. You know what I mean? So, resented it, no. In the end, I had to tell their father that, and he bear witness to it, that he was irresponsible because he didn't add on. The king of the castle, you walk in the door, you get service from your feet to your head, or from your head to your foot, okay? But you were not responsibly financially for the children. That was on the earth. And all of us that I knew, were on welfare. They were very seldom guards were working, having a real 9 to 5.
On the phone, you said that you were an independent woman, very independent woman. Can you build on that a little bit?
Well, yes, I am an independent woman. I've always taken care of myself. I never really wanted to be. I was married once under the government, but after that marriage didn't work out. I said never again. Never again would I tie my name up with someone else, because it's easy to get married, very difficult to get unmarried. You know, much more of a hassle that you got to go through to get asking, you know. So.
Right. So you kind of like accepted that idea of not getting married under the government.
Yes, from the door. My word to you and your word to me is sufficient for me, and that's how I felt. You know, and Father said we don't get married under the government with paper.
Right.
We don't do that. Your word to me and my word to you is the only bond we have. If we decide to dissolve it, well, it's dissolved.
Right. Well, a lot of sisters seem like they come up, they want to feel validated by that piece of paper for some reason.
That to me is not validation. It's basically a certain amount of control. You know, you have, that's my husband, and that's my baby father, and he got to do, it's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do without being married. You ain't got to be married for that to be your father or that to be your mother. You know what I mean? But the 85 and the Christians, they put that in your head. I mean, I was raised a Christian. So this is something that they advocated for. They didn't really accept common law. That's you living in sin. Okay, I'll live in it.
Well, you said that, you know, it was sufficient that your word is bond.
Yes.
And that's important. And,
Right.
and a lot of people don't really put much stock into their word being bond.
Nowadays, it really isn't any. I don't see that anymore. Like when you gave your word on something, people expected you to carry that out.
You said that you birthed a few babies in the nation, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got on about that?
I really, somebody wanted to give me the label Shamika, Queen Shamika up in Pittsburgh. When I first delivered. Listen, actually, God, the honest truth is, babies deliver themselves. You just assist them coming into existence, unless there's a medical problem where she's not opening enough as she should. Some other, malfunctioning, babies deliver themselves. All I would do would be there to support the mother, to comfort the mother, and try to get her to understand that this is a process, and you need to practice the process before it happens. Because when it's going on, it's not the time that, oh, what do I do? You're supposed to know. So I tell them, if I know you from before you have the baby or before you go into labor, there's certain things I try to tell you to do. In labor, you don't want to cry, okay? Because when you're crying, it's sniffling, you're pulling up. You understand? You want to be able to relax and let it flow. And the baby is going to born himself. There's nothing else you can do but assist him. And the assisting of him is relaxing, understanding what you do when the contraction comes, like panting, or either you can blow, you know what I'm saying? But you're relaxed. You want to be relaxed. When you tighten up, you're pulling up. So you want to be relaxed so that it'll go down. And unfortunately, nowadays, not many earths want to have the babies at home. You would think that they still would, but back in those days, Lord Kundalini, you know him, he returned. But every one of his babies, and he had 10 children with Queen Jamisa, and every one of them were born at home. And the older ones helped born the younger ones when they got older. Okay? I had Kaliv. I went to the hospital with Kaliv, but I was only there 10 minutes before I had him because I was home all that time. With Can Do, because I went to the hospital to after not Kaliv I had at the hospital. Okay, because I was 32. I had already lost a baby, and when the contractions got so fast, I just got scared, and so I went to the hospital. But with Can Do, I went to the hospital only because the sister who was supposed to be helping me with this, she got scared. I wasn't at the hospital 10 minutes before he was born. So that 10 minutes I could have stayed home and everything would have been fine until I took him and registered him to be birthday.
So the thing is, a lot of sisters are scared. It's the fear.
Yes, it's the fear. It's the fear. And I'm telling, unless you're having some sort of a problem during your pregnancy, most pregnancies go well, you know. But it's a matter of you understanding how to help you deal with it. When you're in pain and you're tightening up, which is making it even more painful. And I try to. A lot of the herbs would not go to the birthing classes because no, we're not going to do that. We're going to have it natural. But you ain't reading about how to have it natural, and she may not be reading not to have it natural. So even with my own self, when I had Kaliv, I stayed home 32 hours before I went to the hospital, because after 32 hours, I got scared because I had had a baby in me that was dead for a while, and they could not take the baby from me. They said the body would have to expel it when it was ready. So I understood it, how they were feeling, but now I understood that when you have a contraction in the beginning, when you have a contraction, you relax and you try to breathe, or you blow. Okay, when the contraction, when you're getting ready, you will know, your body will let you know when it's time to open up, time to take everything off. That's why no man shouldn't be in there but a man, you know, and take everything off so you don't have no constrictions on you. Because sometimes just the fabric felt like it was, oh God, that hurts. And it's just like, you know what I mean? Very, very sensitive. And I had Can Do at home, even though we went to the hospital after, because I didn't have to go to the hospital. But she got scared and called them. And he was born at home. They just took us to the hospital afterwards. And I still advocate for home births.
Right.
And I've done 1, 2, 3. I done 4. From the same family. I don't know if you know the black family from Medina.
No.
You don't know Black Son?
Oh, I do know Black Son.
Yeah. His last 4 babies I did.
Wow.
At home.
Peace.
Yep.
Peace. And
they named one after me.
That's peace. So that comes from like your
my practical nursing
background.
Right, because I was licensed. I still have my last license right in my drawer right now.
You are a registered nurse?
No, practical.
Practical nurse.
Practical nurse.
Okay.
But you still had to be licensed by the state. And I went to school for that. I graduated, and I had to take state boards, and you had to get your license renewed every other year. But when I moved to Philadelphia, I thought I would be able to get work as a nurse here, but the rules that they had in Philadelphia was I would have to have known, since I didn't train here, I would have to have known a doctor that I worked with to vouch for me to say that I know X, Y, and Z. They weren't accepting my license from New York. But I still have my practical nursing license still in the drawer. Now, I've really done more midwifing since I've been here, not Philadelphia, but New York, like I told with Black Son. his last 4 babies there. And I've done a couple other earths in Philadelphia. Here, when I came, in New York. Here in Philadelphia, they were not into, when I moved to Philadelphia, they were more into, like, the hierarchy. Like in Philadelphia, they have a certain group of people who were the so-called, the I don't know what kind of word to use.
The royal family.
Right.
The royal family. That's where
Right, like the royal family.
Yeah, royal
Yeah.
family.
And everybody else was like you. It was hard getting into that, but they weren't dealing with herbs. The women weren't dealing with herbs. When I was talking about when I came here, I was still only in my early 40s. I was talking about having another baby. And they thought I was out of my mind. Okay? I was breastfeeding. They didn't know anything about the health food store, like the Earths and Now I did. So I brought all of that here when I came. And still some of the women today still don't do that. But the majority, I would say, are more into dealing with the herbs and stuff like that. But of course nowadays, people are out of childbearing. If I could have another child today, I'd have one.
Any advice you'd like to give the young earths coming up in the nation?
I really would like to give a message out to the gods, because I find that in this day and time, the gods, there are earths that are willing to live this way of life. I would say women that are willing to live this way of life and have children, but the brothers aren't. The brothers want to deal with the 85 women and have children by the 85. That's what I see. You know, they're not.
I would say that brothers want to teach a woman, rather teach a woman as opposed to find who's already been taught. You know, that's what I see.
Well, and then there's another thing, like back in the day, the realities of life is you may start in a relationship with one person and down the road you find out that that's not working for you or for her. But she could build with another God and be fine. You could build with another earth and be fine. Okay? But I don't see, first of all, we're not having rallies like we used to have. The people are not coming like they used to, and that's because the gods are not teaching. If the gods were standing on the street corner like they did back in the day and started building, maybe we'd have more people coming around. Maybe we'd have more brothers who know who they are. But because they don't do that, because they do not do that, they don't, you know, the nation is depleting instead of building. Okay?
So you feel like the nation is depleting because brothers are
Because it's on the gods. I'm not saying you or you, but that's where it starts. Knowledge is the foundation. If y'all don't do your job, the nation don't grow. And that's what I see. Even when I go to Now Why, to the rallies, what do the brothers be doing? They be outside around Harriet Tubman steps, but they ain't building about mathematics, because if you are, go inside and drop that science in there. That's where you should be doing it at. They be dealing with the understanding, the equality, the alcohol. Okay? They're not in there bringing something to the rally every month. When I came in the knowledge of self, and my cipher was, when you go to the rally every month, you should be able to born knowledge on at least one new thing. You ain't got to born knowledge on 10, 12 things. You done born knowledge on one thing. And I know that I was one of the ones, the first one, who started talking about vitamins, supplements, about you don't get everything that you need from the food that you eat because of the way that it's grown, the way that it's harvested, the way that it's transported. Okay? So you need to have that. And at first I got, you know, oh no, we don't need that. Nowadays, that same person that said that takes vitamins and supplements. You know, even though you have knowledge yourself, you can't be closed to other sciences. Okay, to your herbs. Herbs are good, but a lot of people don't know about herbs. You know, when you say herb, they don't, oh, the joint, where the joint at? No, we're not talking about that herb, that particular one. That's a herb too, but not that particular one. But that's the only one they want to deal with. And if the gods don't know, their woman won't know. So the knowledge starts with the gods. If they can do Islam, could write a damn book on herbs. Okay? You know what herb to take for this, to take for that, to do for this, to do for that, even combining them to do something. First of all, the gods don't want to draw the sisters up. What's up with that? I have so many young herbs that call me mother, that got things going for themselves. They have their own houses, their own homes, their own jobs, okay? Their own bank accounts and this building. But they want somebody to build with, not at 85. But the brothers don't want to draw those women up. I can't tell you how many I know that call me mother. Equality, perfection, Jewel, some more that I can name. Okay? Because they don't want no chump. Okay, they want a God. And they don't want to build with the 85. They may have to go to the 85, they want to, take care of their, they whatever. But when that's done, that's just done, and that's all it was. But when you have a God, you want to build the universe. And the brothers today don't want that, and they don't want to deal with women who know who they are and what they supposed or should be doing.
That's a lot of weight.
Hey, but if you say you God, the universe is on your shoulders. You're supposed to handle that. If you can't handle it, get to stepping. And if you a true earth, you want a true God. Because in the end, I'm not taking care of no nigga. I'm not paying all the bills. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing all that. What's the matter, babe?
No.
You know what I'm saying? They have to show and prove too. And the women that the earths, my goodness, equality, perfection. You know equality, perfection? She's beautiful, intelligent, got her own stuff going for herself, businesses and all kind of different arts. And most of the earths I know, the young ones that call me mother. Okay? The brothers don't want those women because they have to show and prove.
So you say the brothers are scared of showing improvement.
Exactly. And if you can't show and prove, well, you need to keep stepping. Because if I need to do what I need to do to handle myself, I got toys or I got somebody I can handle that. And that's all I need. Because how many women, how many earths I know have raised their own children by themselves. But still, in this way of life, they haven't strayed away. But the brothers, they don't want these women. They're not drawing them up. And they're stupid. They're so stupid. Because these women are, with a woman like that, you can build. They still want to have babies. Equality, perfection would love to have another baby. But it's the gods, it's not, trust me, it's not the earth. It's not the earth. And then, so they left, like I'm out here. I might go on a date. I might have somebody I see to handle when I need to. But that's not what I want. I want God in my life, and they do. But the brothers don't want responsibility, because if you're the real earth, you want a man that's the real God. Otherwise, you just walk all over that. And a real woman don't really want to walk all over her man. Not really. She wants him to be, hold up. I'm handling this.
It's a good orderly direction.
Yes, but you got to show me that you're handling it for me to give it over to you.
Yeah,
that's a question I'd like to ask you. What do you think? Why do you think the gods are not drawing up the earth?
I mean, that's a heavy question, Earth. You know, I think that sisters nowadays, I mean, it's a lot of weight, and I don't think brothers a lot of times are not prepared to deal with that weight. You know, when you was building about the gods having more than one earth, a lot of brothers don't know how to deal with one earth. Better yet to have two, three. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of weight. You know, a lot of responsibility, and yeah, I mean, it's
So they
heavy.
prefer to deal with the 85 woman that doesn't really know what a God's supposed to be about.
So it's not necessarily a thing where the gods don't want to. Sometimes, you know, you get to building with the earth, building with a sister, and you find that there's certain things about her characteristically that now we're not gonna mesh. This is not gonna work, you know what I mean? So sometimes you find yourself having to go outside of self, going to build with the 85, you know, teach her and bring her in.
And I don't have a problem with that,
Right.
because that's God's duty
That's our
to
job.
teach.
That's right.
And you can find an 85 woman that you can refine and elevate. That's wonderful. That is wonderful. But I find that the brothers find it easier to deal with the 85.
Well, it may be an easier route.
Because the earth's-
I'm not denying
The earths
that.
are a challenge. Earths are
Right,
definitely a challenge.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Earths
yeah.
are a challenge. The earth's the one thing about the earth and them being a challenge is because they're gonna hold you accountable, because you can't. Like,
Exactly.
Like, in other words, you can't piss on them and tell them it's raining outside.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean?
Where you get it from? I do not know. Oh my goodness.
That's just a fact.
So I'm not denying that you know, dealing with 85 may not be may be an easier route as opposed to dealing with the earth. You know what I mean? But not every earth is
Qualified.
Exactly.
And I recognize that.
Right.
I'm not saying just like there's not all the gods don't qualify.
Exactly.
There's God that don't qualify for me.
Right.
He may qualify for somebody else.
Exactly.
Just the same thing with the earth.
Indeed.
He might be not on my level of equality,
Right.
but your brother might say, okay, I can handle that, and that's okay.
Right.
I'm not. But I have a level of equality that I maintain for my own personal stuff. It's not anything to do with God or
Right.
anything like that. It's about me. And and when I went to the first rally, like I was telling you, and I built and said what my name was at the time, my first rally, and this is what I've been looking for all my life, and I will be here from now on, and I have been. And how long has it been? 83? How many years is that now? You 44. 48 years. Okay? So he 44. Kendu's going to be 43, 42 in November. You know, so.
And I also think, you know, this nation sometimes can be like a social club. So where you dealing with this earth, and your business is all around the entire nation. And, you know, brothers don't want that either.
Well, I put it to you this way: when you have a family, your family know your business.
That's a fact.
You understand what I'm saying? I don't care what culture you in. When you have a family, your family know your business. Okay, and if they don't know your business, well, what's the secret?
Right.
Why? Everything's going right. You're doing everything right and exact. It's an open book. My life in this nation has been an open book from day one.
Peace.
Okay, because I tell it like it is. I'm a real person.
Right.
I'm the earth, but I'm not this mythical earth.
Right. Now, see, that's where I think a lot of the teachings of like this is like going back to the mystery God. Like
Exactly.
you thinking that it's supposed to be this mysterious or this mythical thing, as you the word you're using.
Exactly.
Right. And it's just
Exactly.
it's real. Like a lot of
Exactly.
people are scared of the real.
But his father was a real man. He was a real God. He was not mythical or any of that bullshit. And he was open and honest. But see, that's another thing. We're not secretive. If we are a family, and something going on in your family, you might need some help. But if you are 85, well, I don't want my family knowing my business. I don't want them knowing what's going on. Does that help you? That doesn't help you if you have a problem and you're looking for help to solve the problem so that your union can stay the same. That your union that you have produced children with is not broken up and torn apart because you don't want people to know. What? Please. I tell people, if you don't want me to know, if you don't want me, don't tell me. Because I'm not keeping secrets. I'm not a secret keeper. Not at all. And if we're a family, why do we have to keep secrets in a family? If family needs help, or there's something going on like physical abuse of gods, and I'm not with that. And I made it known at the rally, if I'm in your presence and you're beating on a woman, you got two. Because I'm stepping to you. And I think God should be stepping to that man if he hitting on a woman. For what reason? You're already stronger than her. And if you can't control your woman by your mind power, you don't need her. Because you're supposed to be God, the maker and the owner.
Peace.
But if you can't control your woman to the point that you have to hit her, you ain't who you say you are. Or you better let her go because she's a true and living devil. Because some women like to get beat on. And will do things to make you beat on them. And if you have that kind of woman, that's not doing you any good. That's bringing you out of who you are.
Peace of that. I mean, that's real, and a lot of our families scared of the real.
Right.
Yeah.
Scared of the real. So
Yes.
yeah.
They don't want to hear it. It upsets them. Listen, like I said, my life has been an open book here. All my life, you know. From Shabbat God to the wise Allah. To Kindu, who blessed me so. And in the end, we were brother and sister in the end. And when before he died, he came here. He came here. Because he didn't have that communication with divine or understanding or Bobby. He had the communication only with me. And that polygamy is fine if you're open and honest about it. You know, and ain't nobody got no more power than I have. Like, oh, that's your favorite, really? If that's your favorite, then then that's the only one you need.
Right.
You have to learn. If you want to have more than one woman, you got to learn to deal in equality, and it can't be no damn secrets. When I first heard that, coming right out of the '85 world, I reacted to it negatively right away.
Well, do you recall your reaction?
When the brother said to me that he had another woman in Medina, because I'm living in Pilon.
Oh, in Pilon.
In Medina, I reacted negatively. So he said, well, I'm not leaving her, so if you can't deal with it, see you. Cold like that. And immediately after he said that, he wasn't out the door before I recognized, wait a minute, God, I think we can work this out. Because the knowledge was that important to me. You know, and at the time, Hindu Islam was a different sort of God. He didn't have a problem drawing a woman up, even though she had built with another God. Or even, just come on with me. And he had that kind of magnetic, that's what it would be. I tell women, don't sometime, he's married, I said, don't sometime you say to yourself, damn, I like to get away from here for about a week. Just do what I want to do. I don't have to cook, wash no clothes, serve nobody. You know what I mean? And then a man can say, yeah, I like to get away too. You know? Right. Not to lay up at somebody. It's not about that. It's about just getting and having some space and peace. And the polygamy, if it's going to occur, got to be open. Everybody got to know what the situation is. And we are all on the same level. You can't have 2 or 3 women and one is the top earth and one is the middle earth. And nah, even if they came in that cipher, that everybody's on the same equal. We're equal. Even if you have a seed and I don't have a seed yet, that does not make me unequal to you. Because the seed of life is still in me. I can still have a baby All I gotta do is
Peace.
so. And I tell us, don't you be glad? Wouldn't you be glad sometime for the brother to take a week vacation so he can give you some rest? I mean, don't you really feel like that sometimes? She said, you know what, Earth? I do. I said, so if he got another woman or two, why don't you go to... When was the last time you seen my sister? My sister. When was the last time you seen my sister? You know, that kind of thing.
Wow.
And you ain't got to worry about what he eating, how he eating, because he out there dealing with some 85 women. Come on. And variety is the spice of life.
Right.
It most definitely is.
Ooh, peace.
Okay.
Peace.
You know, and women can't do what men do. Men have the seed of life in them. We have the egg that receives that life. But y'all got that. And there's things y'all got to do. The earth can't be populated by the earth. The earth got to be populated by God. Okay?
Peace.
Well, Mom, I definitely appreciate you sharing, you know, your legacy and your history in the nation. I mean, long legacy and continue.
Listen, baby, you know how I feel about you.
Oh, this ain't about me. This ain't about me, but I know.
You know?
I know.
And ain't no difference. I love your brother,
Right.
but we have different relationships.
That's right.
You
Our
know.
bond is different.
And exactly. And I know that no matter what, if something go down with me, you gonna be there, and he gonna be right there too,
Without a doubt.
without a doubt. You know.
100%.
So I'm content. It took me a while to say, you know what, wisdom, you got to let them be who they are. They're your children, but all brothers and sisters don't get along all the time. So as long as they ain't killing one another,
Right.
I'm good. I'm good. So,
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to add on with me.
and I want to know, what is your name?
I'm Allah Infinite.
Allah Infinite.
Yes.
Got you.
Yes.
I've heard your name before,
Yeah.
and I've certainly seen your face. But you know, how old are you?
I'm free understanding.
47?
Free understanding.
43.
Yeah, 43.
Okay. Well, as you grow older in your age degree, you will discover things that you don't see now.
Yeah.
You know, things. He's like an old head. He's been an old head since he's been born. That's my father. I tell people I have to talk to my father first. Listen, you want to do so and so? I said, let me check it with my father first. Your father? I said, yeah, Kaliv. And they burst out laughing. But he's my brother, he's my son, he's my rock, he's my foundation. And anything that comes up, and I don't love my baby less, just differently. But when anything comes up, whatever it is, before I act out on it, I call him.
Peace.
If he clears it, then I'm good. If he don't clear it, say Kaliv said no, well, they don't have any other else to say.
Right. Yeah, the God was the one who
They
called me.
already know.
God was the one who reached out to me to come here and bear with you and
There you
document
go.
the history.
There
So,
you go, God. There you
peace to
go.
God for that.
Peace, man. No, peace. For you for coming down, God. I appreciate it.
Peace,
Taking the
peace.
time out your day to come down, you know what I mean? But
Yeah, this was important.
it's definitely important.
Important, yeah.
And this is never, it hasn't happened. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
What happened?
documenting your history. You know what I mean?
okay.
And like
No.
people that are close to you or intimate to you, they know you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But like the God said, this is about our nation, and our nation is so small. Like I said, everybody knows everything because it is so small. You know what I mean? But there are a lot of people that are all over
my
the planet
God,
Earth who don't know about you.
If I could tell you the first rally that I went to, and for many years it was like that. The whole seats were all taken up by earths and babies. And the guards would be 3 and 4 against the wall. They don't do that now, and I think it has to do with the foundation from home that is not being really taught at home, and they don't come to the show and prove because they're not living it out. It's not the same as like when it was first manifested and it was new, you know. And then sometimes we've had people in our nation that did some foul shit. Okay, and as a nation, we needed to have dealt with that. But because it was like individual, well, that's in Pelon or that's in Medina. Nah, the nation is all over. So no matter where it is, if it's negativity, we need to crush that immediately, because that's not what we're about. But people look at the 5%ers as, when they want to, a lot of the women are not here today because when the God stepped in with the polygamy, they thought it was all about sex. And they didn't know how to draw them up and show them that it wasn't even about that. Kendu Islam saved my life. He saved my life. And I loved him for that, because I was older and I had a baby that died in me, and this was all seen in front of the nation. You may not know it because you weren't particularly paying attention at that time, because I'm still 81 years old. And so there's a difference between your age degree, the things that you seeing now, you weren't able to see and understand at that age degree, So, but there's a lot of things that we need to be doing, and the gods need to be. When I go to the rally, I tell them, y'all ain't doing I already told them that at the university rally a couple of times. Y'all are not doing your job.
There's a recording of you saying that, actually.
Yeah,
You do your job.
If you do your job, these seats would be filled. They would be filled. And there wouldn't be any problem about the polygamy. You got to go, huh?
No, go ahead.
And there wouldn't be any problem about the polygamy or anything, because everybody would be on the same page, and everybody would be expecting everybody to be doing, if not exactly the same thing, certainly similar, because we live in the same way of life.
But I have one more question, because you on the phone you said that you were known as the Three Sisters, right?
Oh, because the God had three earths. So it was understanding earth. She was the first one added on. Divine understanding, who was here to see me and brought me my pajamas. We still tight. Okay? And then wisdom understanding. So we were the understanding. Cypher used to call us that. The understanding earths. Queen Cypher, right? Yeah, she used to call us that.
And the reason why my father added understanding to all his earth's names is he said he chose the best part for himself. Understand.
Peace. Yep. Well, peace, wisdom, understanding. Again, this was a joy and a gem. I appreciate it.
No problem, Almighty. And listen, if a question had come to your mind that you didn't talk about today, feel free to call me.
Okay.
And
I would love to come back sometime if it's peace. Go Bell.
As long as I'm on the planet.
Peace.
Because I got the condition. So as long as I'm here, I'm at your beck and call. So
peace, I appreciate you.
There we go. Oh, the sun is hot. The sun is hot. Peace, Almighty.
This footage was taken on the Knowledge Wisdom Day of the God Month. Wisdom Understanding returned to her essence exactly 1 month and a day after this recording, on the Knowledge Understanding Day of the Build Month. I'm glad I was given the opportunity to build with her before she returned. My deepest condolences to her family. May peace be upon her. She is remembered in perfection.
Travel safe. You also, God.
Peace.
Infinite Allah.
Allah infinite.
Allah infinite, yeah.
Allah infinite. Allah first.
Yeah, Allah first. Peace, Earth.
From there, we went to a law school in Power Hill.
These are 2 storefronts, and then when we go in the door, the school goes all the way back, and we got both these floors and in the basement.
Okay, peace. That's right on time, God. I've been striving to do the knowledge to this school right here, God.
Now, we all know law school in Mecca to be the original law school given to Allah by the then mayor of New York City, Mayor Lindsay, in 1967. And it is considered to be our national headquarters. Since then, there have been many schools erected in the name of Allah. This one was founded in 2011.
we call our school here is called University Street Academy, USA. You know what I mean? A law school, you know, law school in Philly, you know. But it's big. It's three. It's three. It's, if you count in the basement, the first floor and the second floor. Each floor has to be 2,100 square feet on each floor. You know, we got 2 storefronts. That'd be the biggest school in the nation, y'all. I ain't know one big. I ain't seen one big.
Yeah. Wow.
It's our auditorium right here, guys.
Wow. This is the size right here, God.
And to your left, got up top, we got that metal work. It's like a sheet metal of the law of justice right there. And underneath,
Oh, over here.
underneath the law of justice, that's A-Bar. So, you know, we still working on it, guys. Still like, it's a work in progress. Still a lot to do, but once we get everything done, guys.
Now it's God degree up there.
Like I said, this is all a work in progress. This is gonna be like one of the rooms, you know, we'll rent out. Like I said, to have a cabaret.
Right.
You wouldn't have a party, you wouldn't have any type of function. One in the back, we got a big stage, a big space.
I knew it.
This is what? That's the history of it.
They be having different rooms off.
So you got different like rooms. You got like classrooms and
Different levels.
oh, that's a bathroom. That's a closet though. That's a
Office space.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
you said the basement is what?
The basement floor.
Okay, it's a little.
You go down if you want that.
And as you see, a lot of work needs to be done. However, the actual presence of the school shows and proves that the work is already being done. Okay, so it's a lot of work to do, but it's still you got.
But it's ours though.
Is it right? Right.
If you're doing the work, you got this whole basement was full of trash and debris when we first got the property.
Wow.
We had dump trucks. Got the guards came down from now. I got them on the Greyhound bus. Had them in about 40, 50 guards. Umala was one of them. You want everybody loading dump trunks up. And dumping all this shit, getting this shit out of here, you know what I mean? So, you know, this is where our kitchen gonna be at down here. You know what I mean? We got a smaller one upstairs. The kitchen is gonna be at eventually, you know what I mean? So, it's coming along, trust me, guys. It's fun.
Yeah, it's yours. It's yours. So y'all can work it.
Right.
That's the whole thing.
There is so much potential in this space. With our supreme mathematics, we can take it from knowledge born, then let our knowledge add as many ciphers as we want. Visiting a law school in Philly, I became curious about the history of the school, who the firstborns are, and how knowledge came to power hell.
That history has to be given by knowledge divine.
Okay.
When we go to his rest. Because that history, I mean, I know we went down to North Carolina, and got it from the Masons, but I don't know how all that came about.
Okay.
Conversations that was had, so forth and so on.
Okay, peace.
So I'm gonna leave that there, you know what I mean?
Peace.
Nah.
To get a better understanding of the history of this school, we traveled to the other side of Power Hill and built with one of the firstborns of Power Hill, a guard by the name of Knowledge Divine, who welcomed me into his home to share his history and some of the history of Power Hill. Peace. Introduce yourself.
I am Knowledge Kaliv Divine Allah from Philadelphia.
Where your history starts in Philly, or?
In Philly.
Okay. So can you add on about how the knowledge came to Philadelphia?
All right. I was not here in 71 when the knowledge came. Okay. So I'm just going to give you a brief history on that, and then it'll be other people in the future that you can, that were here.
Okay.
The knowledge came here in 71 by a brother named Amar Self.
Right. Heard a lot about Amar Self.
Yeah, Amar Self was a bad man. And Amar came in 71, and he met Ramel, Kahin, Jamel, and Just God. And they were 17, 18, 19. And he went on, taught them, and it just took off. I came home in 72 in March.
Okay.
And got home, and my brother had to sit in there waiting for me. That was Ramel Self.
Okay, so you consider like one of the firstborns?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, right.
I'm the 8th out of the 9.
8th out of 9.
Yes.
Okay. And what was that time period like? When you said 72.
72. Well, Vietnam War was on. It was a lot of black consciousness. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Hungawa, black power. So, it was a lot of different things, a lot of changes. It was a political change, it was a cultural change. Black people were becoming aware of themselves. And at the same time, it was, in our inner cities, we were still struggling with gang war and stuff like that. So, this knowledge came at the perfect time, because at that time, there was a lot of young brothers looking for other answers.
How old were you at the time?
I was 21.
21, okay.
Now, I was in Vietnam when the knowledge came here. I got drafted into the Army at 19. So I was a young buck marching, 11,000 miles away. And my brothers and sisters wrote me and told me they had changed their names.
So you were in Vietnam when you heard about this whole science?
No, I didn't hear the whole science.
Well, not the whole science, but you heard of what was happening.
Let me tell you how it happened. All they did was give me their names. They didn't write about that they were the 5%, or this brother named Amar came and told them they was God, or there was a man named Allah. None of this. Only thing I had was their names, which because of what I knew, which is hardly anything, that was a huge jump, because one of the things that I did gain in going into the service and being in a war zone with other black men is that we learned how to form a camaraderie. And our black consciousness was elevated by having to deal for the first time with just pure white racism, even in the service. So, first one that shot at me was a white guy, not a Vietnamese, but
right in the Army with you.
In the Army, well, we broke out in the fight. I mean, we still ended up having to do what we had to do together. But yeah, that's the reality of it. Is the first shot at me was a white guy.
Wow.
Because we broke out in the fight, drunk, so that's how things happen. So I had that information. So when I got home, that information happened the summer of 71. I got home in March of '72, and when my mom came to the airport, my mom and pop, I'm looking to get a love and a hug, and first thing they tell me, I'm so glad you're home. I can't wait till you see your brother. He's talking all of this crap, and I'm like, damn, can I get a hug?
I ain't seen you in 11 months.
You know what I mean? 13 months.
13 months, okay.
So I'm like, damn, what what could be going on? I mean, shit, I'm thinking everything is positive because the level that they changed their names, you know.
Right.
So on the way home, they just going in. So I get home, my brother Ramel's at work. One of my other young bucks, Kahim, they'd had knowledge. So now, for the first time, I'm hearing and seeing.
And these are your younger
They
brothers.
were my younger brothers. When I was my younger brothers. When I went away, I'm like 3 years older than them.
Okay.
So, you know, when you're talking 17, 18, and 8, 14, that's a big difference.
Right.
You know, so Kahim said to me, he said, oh man, we so glad we've been waiting for you, kid. You know, we got something to show you and this and that. And I'm just happy to be home. I'm happy to see them. So it's really not soaking in yet. So he said, well, I don't want to tell you no more because I want your brother.
So they were excited about the information that your brother was coming with. Your parents were excited about it.
No, they were upset about it.
Upset about it.
They were upset about it. They were upset because he's saying he's God. He's making them take pork out the house, you know. And because he's young, he's sometimes being a little rough around the edges. So they weren't handling it well. So I was supposed to be coming and just clean all this. I was supposed to clean everything up. Right. So Cain said, I can't tell you no more. So he said, you gotta wait till Ramel come. When Ramel come, I want him to be able to tell you, y'all physical brothers like that. So Ramel comes in. So they didn't had him so pumped up, my parents, and plus the older brother, he was tight. I'm just happy to see him. I want to hug him. You know what I mean? I want to hug him. And we in the bathroom. My bathroom was little. He called us, he was washing himself up from work. I'm just standing over him wanting to hug him. So he backed up and he said, the original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker of the oldest cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization, and God of the universe. And I was like, damn. I had met a brother in Vietnam, in Pleiku, Vietnam, from New York. He loved to get high on heroin. He was always nodding, but I mean, he was an intelligent brother. So we sat, chewed the fat a lot. And he said, brother, one day, he said, man, he said, I got something for you. So he handed me this paper with the knowledge degree in the 1 to 10 on it. It just said, who is the original man? The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, the father of civilization and the God of the universe. I was like, wow.
This is before you got home.
Yeah.
So this is before your brother even...
Right.
So when he said it...
All I have is that. I don't have who is the 5%. I don't have that a man named Allah came and bust this whole thing open and gave us the best part and formed, revealed supreme mathematics and alphabet to us. So none of that I had. I had no structure with it. But the thing that stuck with me was who God is. So then that got me thinking, damn, well, it is possible to be God. You know, my first thoughts was you just have to have the knowledge of the universe. You know, so that's all I had.
So it was kind of clicking for you, kind of behind.
Well, what happened, you know, when you sitting around at night in Nam and we might be sipping a little bit, you know, hoping we make it through the night. We talking. And one night I brought this up. I said, man, y'all ever think about the fact that it might be possible for a man to be God? And one very Christian brother from Pittsburgh took offense to it. He said I was blasphemous. And we broke out into a rumble. You know, so right then I said, well, damn, shit. They caused that? So, you know, I mentioned it here and there, but I let it go because I didn't have enough
information to kind of build on.
Right. I had to deal with that in my head. I didn't, you know, I just did not have, I didn't have 120 degrees.
Well, what was your background? Was your family like Christian?
Oh, my background was Christian.
Okay, your mom
with white Jesus on
with white Jesus, right?
Yep, eyes follow me all around all the time. So now, let's back to my brother and me in the bathroom, and he quotes this degree. So I'm done. I don't hear anything else that he's saying. I sat down on the toilet seat and he was just going. He might have quoted the whole 120. I don't know. You know, so all I could think of was, damn, this is too much of a coincidence. It can't be. This is some deep shit. And that's when I said, damn, that's why I'm back. This is why I made it back here. You know what I mean? So him and Kahim they was just going on and on. And I was like, wow. So now, through my own physical brother, both of them brothers, I now can get the piece of this puzzle. You know.
So like it all started fitting together.
Everything started fitting together. You know. So
how did your parents respond to now that
you see then I come back downstairs, so did you get him? Nah, he got me.
Wow.
He got me. I said, so listen, whatever the problems are, we'll straighten them out. You know, I said, don't worry about that. We'll straighten them out. That's why I had told him, y'all don't mess with her about she want her pork. You know, so if you feel that way and you still up under this roof, then it's time to go. So I found my brothers another apartment in that's how P-Line in Philadelphia got taught, North Philadelphia. Ramel.
So is it P-Line and
we have the same we have the same names of our sections.
Okay, peace.
You know, because it was that far back, so it was, well, you know, the creativity hadn't set in like that, so we went on and duplicated what we saw. So we have Mecca, which is where the knowledge and wisdom started. That's where I was standing when he told me this.
Right.
And our P-Line is North Philly, up this end. West Philadelphia is Medina. And farther out in Germantown, that's the desert. So yeah, and then they introduced me to Amar.
Okay.
You know, so that was good because here was a brother that was a couple years older than me. You know, so I mean, I'm learning from the younger brothers. But there's certain things experience-wise, they can't. They may have knowledge, but they didn't have my experience.
Right.
You know, even though I was young, I mean, shit,
You just came back from Nam.
I traveled around the planet. You know, so he was an older brother in Amar, then he could get me tightened up with certain things. You know, because he was a couple years older than me, so he had experiences that we could share. You know, so that is and the ninth guard of the firstborn was one of my roadies that I met in the 7th grade in middle school. He's from a different corner, so I went and got him because I hadn't seen him in 2 years. And as soon as I handed him the lessons and taught him, he boom, he's right there. So that was the ninth man, born divine.
Born divine. And this is all in God Wisdom 72.
This is in God Wisdom 72. Right before me, in January of 72, was the 7th guard, which was Satu. So the first 4 was Jamel met Amar first, then Kai, then Ramel, then Just God. So that's the 4. Then Tahi, Nahi, that's your 6. Then comes Satu, January 72.
Right. And you.
Then March of 72, when I'm here. So then right after that, maybe Born was there, by May Born was there. Now, I didn't choose my name right away. I just was studying like crazy. Because I always been kind of deliberate, you know. And at that point in my life, I wasn't about to have someone just dictate to me. You can show me, but I'm taking my time.
Right. So you already heard the first degree of the 1 to 10. What about the supreme mathematics and the supreme alphabets?
Before I came home to Philadelphia?
Well, you didn't get that. You didn't get that at all.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It was only that first degree.
That's it.
Right.
That was it.
Right.
So my education came from my brother, from my mother. So that
just
would be
him just saying that.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, and then he showed me. See, because just having just that knowledge degree in the 1 to 10.
That's a powerful degree.
It's a powerful degree, but there is no there's no understanding for someone who just got that. You just have knowledge, so you starting to work things out in your head, which I would be recreating the wheel if I had to do that. But Allah had already did it. So once they taught me about Allah, then everything just clicked. So then they taught me about Allah and who the 5% was, who the 85% was.
Well, I went on that a little bit, hearing about Allah.
Hearing about Allah made me know that some of the things that I had been thinking about, okay, they are possible. A man did this. He showed and proved. And not only came with just 1 degree, he came with a whole system. So once I got his main contribution, which was supreme mathematics and alphabet.
Right.
All the rest of that stuff was there.
Right.
You know? So right away I saw the significance of supreme mathematics.
And how did that come to you, like the supreme mathematics? After you had that first degree in 1 to 10, then you got it from your brothers or?
My brother. That's who.
Oh, he gave you the whole 120 or?
Yeah, this is the deal. Being I was older, They couldn't spoon feed me.
Okay.
You know, and that's what Amar taught us. If you got an older brother, if it's not another older brother around, give him his stuff and let him do his thing.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be sitting there
Just spoon. Yeah, right.
spoon feeding the older brother. Now, of course, they called me old, which at the time, I had just turned 21 a couple months ago. But, you know, as a 70-year-old man now, I was a baby. But to the brothers that was standing in the cipher,
It was 17, 18.
17, 18, oh, he old, that mother, he old. Here come the old man. Man, get it. You know what I mean? He gave me a complex about age, God. So, yeah, so they gave me the 120. And then, not long after that, Amar got picked up because he was, at the time, he was AWOL from the service. So now, we young, but by then, Amar had us all, well, we were straight. We had been to Mecca.
Oh yeah, I traveled to Mecca and everything by that time.
By the time I got here, back home, those first 4 had been to Mecca many times. I could tell you a quick story as to why and how my appreciation for Caleb's father was. Now, these younger brothers would be the ones that I've had to put the gloves on. You see, I got my stuff right there. Same thing. Let's get it in. Let's get you ready for the street. So, yeah, if something jump, I'm gonna be the protector. They gotta get behind me. This is from coming up.
Right.
Now I'm not here. Some things broke out. Different brothers said in New York to them, not me, but to them, that if you need anything, call. So they made that call. And one man showed up. Can do Islam. Ready to protect. So once I heard that story, before I even met him, he was protecting what I protected. So he had, I'm with him.
One and the same.
I'm with him before I even met him. So when I meet him, we just, boom, we hit right on. Then that mean I had to hang out with him all day in Medina and Pilar.
All day and night.
All day and night. You know what I mean? Him leaving me places. You'll be all right. I'll be right back, God. I'll be right back. You know, okay, guy. You know, so yeah, the relationships between Philadelphia and New York became strong very fast. So, Amar, we needed more flags. The first floor flags that came to the city went to those 4 firstborn. So now we got more brothers that need flags. So Amar told me, he said, look, I need you to go to New York and talk to Justice. I'll get word to him. So that's what I did. Went to New York, and that's when I met Old Man Justice. And he gave me my first flag.
Old Man Justice gave you first flag.
My first flag.
Can you build on like some of your experiences with Old Man Justice?
Well, God,
Even first meeting him?
first meeting him, he was a little fired up. You know, but what I loved was that he responded, even in a stimulated state. He knew who I was. He knew who sent me. You know, I had to search for him, and then I found him. And then we just built. And a lot of, I come from a city, it ain't as big as New York, but it still has the same dynamics, same problems, and the same flow. So what I saw in Justice was one of my uncles. I saw one of my uncles, and so it wasn't a problem for me. I didn't look down on him, nothing. Because at that time, he was going through it. He was going through it, because a lot of the brothers, and rightfully so, they thought he should have been the one to step up and once the father was gone. But he remained himself. Right. So, and he dropped many a jewel on me. And like I said, gave me my first flag that I ever worn in this nation.
Do you recall any of the jewels that he dropped on you?
Well, it was a lot. He talked a lot about your training and
like military training.
I already had military. He had military.
He had military training as well.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So he talked about getting skills and
okay.
It wasn't a whole lot of quoting lessons. I don't remember that from him.
Okay, right.
But it was a lot of just things that you had to do to be able to sustain yourself. So.
Because he was a Marine merchant, right?
He was a merchant Marine.
Merchant, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that and through the years I'd come up see him. Then he gave us another set, the next set after that too. So you could then just about say the first 3 sets of flags came from Justice. Didn't charge me a dime. And I wore my flag proudly because the old man put my flag on me. That was a gift from him.
Now, can you build on like the guard ciphers, like getting the knowledge in the guard cipher and what the time was like here in Philadelphia?
Well, here in the 70s, dealing with young people, we were. The theme of the day was gang on back then. Blacks fighting blacks over corners that they didn't own. But that's what it was, So, in a sense, the positive part about it was there was some validity to it because you would be actually protecting your neighborhood in a lot of cases from marauders coming from other corners. If they could come in your block and just run through your thing, they would have. The gang mentality, that's what it is. So it was a lot of that, a lot of deaths. Even before I went to the war, we were experiencing close to 300 deaths a year in the city. So that's why, I tell people now, be careful pointing your finger at these young people. Make sure you figured out what you did in the 70s. That was pretty much the same as what's happening now. Of course, there's more access to guns, but the self-hatred is still there. It was there then, it's there now. So that's one of the things, culture degree, 1 to 14. That's what they do.
Show motivation.
Right, make us fight and cause dissension amongst us. And I always say this, if I step in the ring and they say, you got 11 opponents, and it's me looking at 11 opponents. If I don't figure out a plan to separate them, I will never beat them. Never. So the first thing that the person that's the 1 versus the 11, he got to separate. And he's learned to separate by every means necessary. Name, tribe, height, weight, skin tone, vernacular, the way you speak, the way you dress. Now it's even the way you think. So the whole process, even from there, what made things pop a little faster for us there, I think, is that it was new, and the defenses hadn't been set up yet against it. It wasn't a bunch of infiltrators or, and that's because that's what happens. So in the 70s, it was more of a free form. I remember the first rally I went to in Mecca. It looked like the Hajj, It was people everywhere. There was gods and earths all over the place. The first rally I went to was an outdoor rally, and it was
in Mecca.
Yeah. What's
Medina? Because I know Medina has an outdoor.
Yeah, in Medina.
Okay.
In Medina.
Right.
So it was packed. I mean, packed. And I was like, wow, this is great, But then on the other hand, you walk a couple blocks away and there's still 100 people on every corner, particularly in Harlem and Mecca. And I asked the brother when I said, damn, all of them got knowledge? He was like, man, none of these people, hardly any of them got knowledge. I was like, what? How could that be? But then, as time went on, I realized, and one of the older brothers, first thing he said, he stopped me. He said, where you from, young boy? I said, I'm from Philly. He said, damn. So he said, look, I want to tell you something. He said, if you one of them brothers that need someone to back up what you're saying, and you can't walk on your own, and you need not guidance, but you need like someone's
reputation, kind of
yeah. He said, this ain't for you. He said, because you're gonna find yourself a lot of times you're gonna be standing by yourself. He said, so develop your thing, get yourself together, and then you will be fine with this. So as long as you don't need adulation and fake love and all of that, you won't be fine.
Good.
I said, thank you, God. Never forgot it.
Can you add on about like when the knowledge came to Philly, like the impact? You said there was a lot of gangs. Like, what was it like? How was it received in Kaliv?
Oh, well, once again, I wasn't here for the initial impact.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, like in your experience.
In my experience, everybody. Our first rallies in Philly were packed. Everybody in the neighborhood.
So gangs kind of got put the gangs.
Well, let me tell you this: the firstborn were from all different corners. So that's something that hadn't happened. The firstborn was from different sections of South Philadelphia, which would be warring factors.
That was almost unheard of.
Right.
So that so the knowledge kind of, in a way, brought what everybody.
Oh yeah, it bought for a minute.
For a minute, because then
because then you get the percenters, and then you got the pretenders. So once that cream start rising, and you see the pretenders staying down here, then things start to go back, because even though there's a lot of people, they all weren't here for this. You know, they all weren't here. They were here for, it became a fad. You know, it was passe to be like having this name, and you know. So once the real work started, then a lot of brothers fell off.
When it started rebuilding, like after those brothers fell off, they started rebuilding in the early 80s.
No, it never stopped building.
But rebuilding, you said.
No, it never stopped building, because this is the deal. Along with what the God told me, you only gonna have 5%.
Right.
You know, you only gonna have 5%. So if you boil down, you look up and you had 200 at a rally, and then you look up and you got 10 brothers, don't feel bad. Because that's where the power lies. That's where your power is. Those 10 brothers can get it done, trust me.
As opposed to the fluff.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's what we have to realize today. Get your 5 out of 100, bro. Reach your 5 out of 100. And we'll be successful. Those will be the brothers with the magnetic. Those will be the brothers who have the ability to express this power. Those will be the brothers whose magnetic will pull the bodies we need to get things done.
I just want to touch on like just some of your military training, because I think about like a law being in the war and coming home with his military training, you know, and I was really like looking at a bunch of children and saying that y'all not really ready for like these carrying guns or take it to whitey like that, or be like this try to be an army against the government. You know, but your military training, for what you saw in Vietnam, how did that apply to what you learned as a 5%er and coming into the streets of like, you know, Philadelphia?
Well, first of all, military, the first thing it does is the discipline. You learn what it means to be disciplined. And in discipline reduces waste. It reduces wasted energy. It reduces wasted time. Because you're going to be on point. And you won't be wandering here and wandering there. You'll be disciplined. And in that training, it start off with just a physical thing. You in bed at a certain time, you get up at a certain time. You work out at a certain time. You eat at a certain time. You go to your combat training at a certain time. And you learn a rank and file system, which goes back to the culture degree in the 1 to 14, which speaks on Musa re-educating the devil or civilizing them. And one of the first things he taught them was how to do what? Live a respectful life. So the key there is respect. So that's one of the things that I brought home from the military: discipline and respect. Now, the people that Musa civilized, a lot of us think they love each other. But if you've been amongst them, which I have, in war, in business, in education, I realized that they don't love each other either.
They have a discipline to deal with each other.
They have respect.
Respect.
Because they all don't have discipline, but they have
Respect.
respect. So that's the first thing Musa taught him. How to what? Live a respectful life. So now, the way you put that together is you make positions by rank. So even if you don't respect the man,
You gotta respect the rank.
got to respect the position in the rank. If you don't, the penalty for them was what? Death. So this is the first thing that we have to learn. That I brought home. Okay, we gotta, the way to help pull people together is to show respect. To be able to deal with the respect. Love come a little later. You know. Yeah, you know, it's kind of hard to love something you ain't seen. You know what I mean? So, but you can respect the fact that it has a position in this life that can affect you. So yes, and if you ever get a chance to talk to the brothers that, the firstborn, the younger brothers out the crew that we showed this to, they will tell you that crazy knowledge divide would have us up at 6 o'clock in the morning, PT, running, and marching them through the neighborhoods. So then the little kids would know that we're gonna be out there, and they be you know.
Military training.
So that's what we did. So my training, that's how one of the ways I use my training. Those are two positions that I definitely was conscious of and that's one of the things I use when going into new areas. First thing is to show respect. I can't go in there thinking I'm because I'm God, I'm greater than what these people doing here. No, sir. I'm gonna show them respect for holding on to what they had first. And then if they don't know how to use respect, I'm gonna show them how to use respect. And one of the ways of respect, Allah said, we don't talk about people. We talk about what they do. It's a big difference. Big difference. If you talk about person, that's calling them a name. That's slander. They have the right to defend themselves because all you doing is slandering them. But if you talk about what they do, that's the truth. That's not a name. That's an actual fact. So you respecting their name, but you at the same time, I'm talking about what you did. And that cannot be disrespected. There's no defense against talking about what happened. So yeah, that's, those are some of the things that I was able to apply and develop over the years, God, because every day with this, it gets, how they say when you're playing ball, the court gets smaller and the rim get bigger. That's what's happening to me over this 50 years of having the knowledge.
You mentioned the culture degree a few times on 114. Is that one of your favorite degrees?
A lot of them are, but because of your questions,
directed.
If you ask some other questions, I'm probably say some other.
Right. I mean, what would you say, like some of the degrees that stood out to you when you were learning 120?
Most of the knowledge degrees.
The knowledge degrees, right. Who's the original man? Why is the devil set the best part of the planet Earth? And who made the Holy Bible?
All powerful.
Yeah, they're definitely powerful degrees.
All powerful.
I mean, me coming from a Christian background, the degree that stood out to me is what made hail, snow, and earthquakes. You know, and that's because, you know, my old earth taught me that, you know, that God was in the sky, and that when it thunders, that was him stomping his feet, and when it's lightning, there was him talking. So to hear that was, you know, all cause and effect, not some mysterious being in the sky, I just brought it all down to earth.
Down to earth, yeah.
It was something real for me, you know.
Yes, sir.
You know, but these degrees, so you said that the knowledge degree, because that first degree was the one that you heard in Vietnam, and you came home and you was dealing with your brother.
That's the first thing you told me.
Yeah, right. And I was like, they was telling me to go get him. And when he said that, I was like, wait a minute, I heard this is too much.
It was like I said, it just flowed. He got me. I didn't get him. He got me. And like I sat down and I started building on why I made it back. I ain't hear nothing else they said, like I said. Nothing. He could have quoted the old 120 that day. All I heard was knowledge. So he completed my education. You know.
Some of the history of the school, like how was it acquired, and how it is today. You know.
How it is today.
Yeah.
Well, you know, outside of Mecca, I know of many places that talked about, you know, where gods and earths are. We got to get a school. We got to get a building. We got to do this. We got to do that. So, of course, during certain times, things have cropped up, and we might have snatched a little storefront here, there, and then the last couple months we lose them. And I imagine that probably happens all the time everywhere. You know, so, all right, I had been talking that from 21 to 60. No, not 60. We got to school in 2011. Yeah, I was 60. I was 60.
Oh, so school was acquired in 2011.
2011.
Okay.
So I'm retired now, so I don't have to worry about where I'm eating, how I'm eating, all of that. So I have more time to focus on some of the things that I definitely wanted to see happen. And I know we wanted to see happen here in the city, which was acquiring a building for our school. So I had certain buildings that I had started writing down and, you know, trying to find a way to get in and check them out, see what had to be done. And Germantown Avenue, 330608 Germantown Avenue, was one of the buildings. It was an old Tioga Businessmen's Association, and over the years, the Masonic organization had taken it over. And they kept the storefront businesses there. One was some kind of little takeout something, one was a barbershop. So I would I had my earth check the records continually, but the records always came back to the building. They were not records that were forwarded to someone else. The building was always closed. So one day, I'm on my way home, and I used to ride by the building all the time. So I'm riding by, and I see the barbershop door cracked, open. But I had a bad day. I mean, like one of them days, I just had a bad day. And I knew I was not really gonna be the best dude to meet that day. So I looked, I stopped, and I rode by. I said, I'm going home. I'm trying to come back here something tomorrow. Rode about a block. I said, man, turn around. Turn around, went, knocked on the door. Old man said, come on in. Introduced myself. We started talking. It was him and another old head, so it was three of us in there. So first, I came to show respect. So respectfully, I sat down and listened to them. And then I let them know what I wanted. The old man told me his name was Mr. Peoples. He said, I'm not the man that can grant you that. He said, but you come back here tomorrow. Meet me here tomorrow. And I'll have that information. I might even be able to let you talk to him. I said, bet. So I'm happy. I'm happy as hell walking out of there. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, damn. Because what if I had kept going? You know?
So you went from having a bad day to having a good
Great day.
Great day. Yeah.
You know?
Right.
That degree must have been built or destroyed. But anyway. So I went home, talked to my earth about it. Before I called anyone, I wanted to go make sure it was real. Before I got anybody pumped up, so I didn't say anything.
Right.
Next day, boom, I'm right there. He waiting for me. Then we kick it, sitting again. Now we expressing personal information and telling me about himself. I'm telling him about myself. And I told him that, you know, I got a group of brothers that we have the ability to do this. So he calls up the big man for the Masonic organization. He lived in Florence, South Carolina. And I talked to him. And he was like, okay now, you ain't BSing me, are you? No, sir. This ain't no BSing. If you can help us with this, I said, we'll never forget it, and it will not go in vain. So when I got off the phone, Mr. People standing there, he said, do you know that God sent you to us? I said, yes, sir, I do know that. You know? And then he met him there the next day. Then he called had his family come, some of his family come over, met them. And at that point now, boom, it looks like it's going to happen. So the first one I called, firstborn, Ramel. The man that told me, yes, sir. The man that gave me all the degrees. Then called Ramel first. Then I called Bakim. Then I called Kaliv. Then I called Our Savior. Then I called Shamgar. And what I did then was I set up meetings with every one of them. So by now I know that the building has back taxes on it. And I knew how much we were going to need. And for the last 5 years, I've been sitting talking with guards. And they may not know what I was interviewing them on, but I was talking about things that made me realize if they would be in a position that once this building popped, would they be able to do it? So through conversations, I have put together 7 brothers that if that happened, I knew I could call them. Because I asked them before, I said, just say a good building came up. Would you be able to, like, you think you might have like 5 or 10 G's that we could throw down with or whatever? And all these brothers said, now would you find some stuff like that? Yeah, I'll find it. You know what I mean? So now when that happened, this stuff was all lined up. So I called and I put together a presentation. I had my IRF get all the back tax information. I had all the information what it would take to take over the building, pay for the back taxes. Put that pamphlet together, and then I went to each person individually, individually, and gave them the presentation. Every one of them, yes. So, you know, that's how it happened, God. So when I gave Kim the presentation, I had stopped over to see Amar, the God that brought the knowledge and wisdom here. Amar self. And I told him what was going on. He was like, Amar was real adamant. God, that's great. And he always used expletives. It was expletives. So I'm not going to say that for these purposes. And he, he just went in. Oh, that's great. He said, what you get ready to do now? I said, I got this presentation. So I gave him the presentation, but I knew he wasn't in a position. Right. I mean, I gave him a quickie of it. So I said, I'm getting ready to go over to Ba Kim's to give him this presentation. He said, I'm going with you. So we go. Lay it out for Ba Kim. And Ba Kim said, this is deep. He said, but this is what I want to know. If I do this, you gonna be there the whole time, right? He said, and we not gonna do this half and then let it go. I said, Ba, once we get this, no matter how long it take, we'll never let it go. We'll never let it go. So he said, I'm down. So now, I got, so I'm short. Like, okay, I still need, I got 20,000 now. And see, this was debunked in all of the crap about the 5% don't have money. Right. You know what I mean? So I said, okay, we needed 27,000 to do the initial deal. Needed 5 more. So I said, hold it. My young buck is ready. He always talking smack. I'm gonna have to go get him. I called B Righteous. I said, B, this is what's the deal. I said, you told me if I needed to call you or something, you ready. What's up? Well, God. And so I gave him the presentation. I'm God, I'm down. I'm ready. So after I gave Ba Kim the presentation, I said, Ba, look, that was around 7 o'clock in the evening. I said, Ba, I got to run up to New York because I got to go see a God that told me if this jump, that he'd be down. I got to go see if he's real. He said, you get ready to drive all the way up to top. I said, I got to have all this information together the next couple of days, bro. We don't have this kind of time because it was getting ready to go into foreclosure due to taxes. So the only way to stop it from being taken was to get that money in there and freeze it. Went up to see Sham God, Black Sea. And I had the presentation. I had the checks. I know when I had to show a black seed, knowledge seed, I know I had to lay it out. There it goes. And he was like, damn, God, how long will it take y'all to put that together? I said, we just put it together. Been 2 days. He was like, all right, checkbook. And I shot right back. Came right back home. Now I'm happy again.
Yes, sir.
You know? So I get back and we put everything together, God. We had to go travel to see Mr. Grouse, who was the big poopah of that Masonic organization. And
You travel down to Florence or something.
we used to travel to Florence.
Right.
First, I was going to have to go by myself. I was going by myself regardless. But then by Kim and Colossus, God, we ain't going to let you go all the way down there by yourself, man. So we all got airline tickets, excuse me, guys. And we shot down there. And lo and behold, met Mr. Grouse, the feistiest 92-year-old brother I ever met. You know what I mean? And he took us, we did all the paperwork right there. I had told him, because of the amount of the back taxes that we didn't have enough to give him like up front. It would have to come on the back end. But I still had a $10,000 check, got a couple more dollars. So I had a $10,000 check aside from it.
Right.
So I went to hand him the check. He said, what's this? He said, did I ask you for money? I said, no, sir. I said, but he said, I ain't no but. You told me what y'all wanted to do, but I never agreed to that. And I never asked you for anything. And I don't want anything from y'all. He said, do you know what y'all represent for us? We're not going to lose this building, and it'll stay in our community. So I'm proud of y'all. I'm happy that you're here. You are God sent. So that's how it happened. He handed the money back. That money went towards the $57,000 we had to put together all together. So that same crew, and then now we had a couple more brothers, same crew put up another 5 G's. The next couple weeks. So then we opened the floodgates for all the rest of the nation to realize what was happening before we got anything. And anything anybody wanted to contribute, come on with it, whatever you have. You know, whether it's $2 or $200, come on with it. And that's how the building got. That's how we had it. So of course, you see it needs a lot of work, and we've had it going on. This will be the 10th year. However, no matter how it looks, we own that building.
Right. Yeah. That's
Okay,
right.
God, we own the building.
And that's a nice building.
You know that building worth a couple million.
That's a nice building. Yeah. Easy.
You know, and we
God
gonna,
boasted that it's the biggest school in the nation.
well, okay, I'll go with that. But I want it to be in quality,
Right.
so we could show an example on how. Because our mathematics don't say quantity.
Equality.
It says
Equality.
equality. So your equality is what you shooting for. So that's why the quality of 10 out of 200 is greater than the 200.
Right.
Quantity is about the
Quality, about the quality.
Right. Peace.
So basically that's it, God.
Well, God, I appreciate you spending the time and adding on with me. Is there anything else you'd like to add on? Anything you would, any advice you would give to 5%ers coming up nowadays?
I'll just say something simple as get your knowledge, your wisdom, your understanding, your culture, power, equality, God, build or destroy, born, add a cycle. Put that together. Don't stop at the 120. Go for 360. Don't quit the 120, but don't stop at the 120. Because knowledge, wisdom, cipher is not born. That's understanding. That gets you the ability to see what you're doing. But to be what you want to always go for is born. Because then that's when things come into fruition. So you want to go for 360 degrees of knowledge and wisdom. So that would encompass everything, and that would give you the understanding of the entire equality cipher. Not just the knowledge and wisdom of the cipher. And with that, just that other 240, that includes everything that you would need for survival. Education, economics, morality, civilization, everything, the sciences, all the sciences of life, love, peace, and happiness. So that's my 2 cents.
Peace, God. Well, one last thing, God, because you mentioned that you God psyche years old and you seem very reserved. Is there what can you say to speak? How can you speak to that you preserving yourself so well at God psyche years old?
Well, of course, okay, it's a physical thing too. What you eat, how you take care of yourself. Of course, there's a right. But then one of the greatest things is what you putting in your head. So you want to start having the greatest of thoughts. You want your brain to be working properly and not drag you down. So I'll just say you take care of yourself and practice good mental health. And make sure that you keep your moral compass in tune, because it's righteousness. Righteousness don't mean that you a punk and you dropping down and bending over, and that's not what righteousness means. Righteousness is a scientific term, meaning that you're going to approach life at a 90-degree angle, which is born. And they call that angle the right angle. There is no such a thing as a left angle. So that's what and I build to keep my mental health and not make me lazy. I don't, I threw belief out the window. Because everywhere in your 120, when you look the word belief, it's always telling you not to do it. Every instance.
Don't believe in the teachings. Don't believe that.
So that made me look and see, well, okay. I remember it was early when I first got knowledge, and I started to work on getting it out my system. And it took about 7 years before I don't even use it now. I use it to teach, but I don't use it in my psyche, because that makes me lazy, because you don't have to show and prove a belief. You don't have to show and prove it. Any dictionary will tell you that belief means to accept as true, not true. So it's not nothing. It ain't nothing mysterious, God. If you say I look sharp, I thank you. You know, I mean, I know I feel it, but at the same token, I can tell you at 70, I'm not feeling a whole lot different up here than I did at 40. I mean, health-wise. Knowledge and wisdom-wise and understanding, that's a whole nother ballgame. It's a whole nother ballgame happening. You know what I mean? Whole nother ballgame. All praises due to Almighty God, Allah, who made this possible. And I'm talking about a brother. And I'd like to share this. One of the first things Amar told us, and he told me from his mouth to my ears. He said, Allah told me to tell y'all when I meet you. Allah knew, because I guess Amar's personality, or who he was, how he carried himself, that he would end up teaching and becoming a great man with what he taught him. And he told Amar to tell us, this is how Amar told us. When he told me when I meet y'all, he wanted me to tell y'all to think of him as your big brother. One of the first things Amar told us, and I got it. Because now, that took all the spook out of it totally for me. Now that meant I could be like my big brother. And that's why I realized he said it. So in case he got built up so high, walking on water and you know how stuff goes.
Water in the wine.
You know what I mean? Right. So he sent that message to keep us grounded and let us know that we are the same. That was, you know, that's my contribution in keeping alive what Allah gave to Amar and what Amar brought to us.
Please, God, once again, I appreciate you adding on with me. That was real rich. Possibly if I come back to Philly, I'd love to keep adding on with you and building with you. But this was peace. I appreciate you, Omar.
Peace, God.
Peace, God.
After building with the guard for a few hours, we hit the road back to the other side of town.
If God can keep himself preserved and keep him motivated, that's peace.
Yeah, God. And shit, I've been surrounded by my whole life, you know what I mean, guys? I told you, I used to spend the night. As a young guy, I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, guy. And he's been that way ever since. He's been that, that whole way. You know, just teaching. That's how you teach. You know? So yeah, when we come back down, we definitely interview his physical brother, Ramel. Kahim rests not too far from the old earth, so okay. I go by there and see it because I don't have his map, but I know where he rests at. So forth and so on. And that way, like I said, man, I'm gonna send them your math, and I'm gonna send you their math as well. Right. So that way, I don't have to be the go between the middleman. You know what I mean? This is our nation. You know what I mean? So.
It started raining heavy. The guard said he couldn't let me leave Philly without having the famous Philly cheesesteak. I'm not a big meat eater, yet I'm not a complete vegan either. We went to a spot on Broad Street in Germantown. Picked up some of the greasiest hero sandwiches that I have ever had. It was good going down. Got back to the Greyhound for my 2-hour ride back to Now Why. Visiting the city of Philly was a great experience. I didn't get all the history,
So I have to make another trip to get more in depth with what I didn't get on this trip. But until the next time, I'll say peace.
INFMEGA did this.